Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, no matter where in the world you might be. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's Arsenal v Leicester this weekend. Oh, we all remember what happened last time we met. Look at that picture. Let's go!
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, boys and girls. Hello, no matter where in the world you might be. I am somewhere remote and somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but it's still somewhere. Joining me once again is my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, Thursday Tactical Show is here. Sophie isn't, but she's still here. At ease, let's do it.
I got my cowgirl garb on today, but still had to have the fedora, Super Kev.
Of course. Look
and
the business.
No matter where in the world I am, by the way, behind me on this side, I still found the Highbury Squad on YouTube, Super Kev. It's right there,
Lovely.
right behind me.
Lovely. Just right.
Good evening, everyone in the house, usual suspects. Let's hope this connection to the internet lasts. We'll try and make it like nice and swift tonight. Sophie in darkness, says Lone Star. Casey to help her see the light.
The light.
He's been doing that a lot lately. He's got that humble pie, cracks it up another notch every single week.
I'll tell you what, Sophie, it smells good, you know. It smells good.
All right. I have some news, you guys, which is incredible news. You're going to want to sit down for this one, everyone. The football prizes Thierry Henry shirt was not won by Jags. It was won by another Highbury Squad listener, Brady's Banana.
Oh! Well done, Brady's Banana. Brilliant stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Kev, when he sent me the message, I'm like, no, really? This is amazing. So you guys have finally broken the duck. I know, Barry, it's an absolute shocker. It's more shocking than the ending of The Sixth Sense or The Crying Game or Who Shot JR, let's be honest.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That was brilliant. Who shot JR? My God. Wow.
Kev, do you remember the
Dallas? That was my show. Honestly, that was my show, man. JR was just my guy.
Listen, I know he was so evil, but it was just soap opera, so good evil, wasn't it? It was like on another level. All right, so let's Jags didn't enter. No, he did. He actually did. All right, let's get stuck into stuff. We've got Arsenal versus Leicester this weekend. Massive game. It's another cup final for the Gunners. We got to win this one to keep the pressure on all the other teams around us. Oh, go on, Kev.
So, are you not going to share the story?
Oh, should I? All right.
Yeah, I think you should, because it just goes to show it's gonna explain something to the squaddies.
Okay, so here's the story. By the way, everyone, I know a lot of you might be watching the Premier League games tonight and listening on replay. So if you are, make sure you let me and Kev have your comments in the comment section on the YouTube channel. Here's the story. So this absolutely happened. So Tony and I are leaving California to come into the wilderness. And you know, when you're going through security, I realized, because it can cause a few problems, I realized when I was going through the X-ray machine, they're like, and make sure you've emptied your pockets, the usual one. And of course, me, I'm like, I've got empty. Oh, no, my driver's license. Ugh. So I yank the driver's license out of my pocket and I toss it into Tony's bin because she's behind me, right? So I go through and I do the whole thing and I buzz. Of course I buzz. I mean, you know, just buzzing all the time, aren't we, Kev?
Cool.
So I get the check and she's like, do you have any injuries or whatever? I go, no, go for it. So I go, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So then we got our bins. We're getting our stuff together, the belts, the laptops and everything. And all of a sudden I hear, Sophie Nicolau. And I'm like, what'd I do? Wasn't me. I'm innocent. And I was like, immediately you think you're in school and you're like, yes, sir, that's me. And he goes, I know who you are. I go, what? He goes, I know who you are. I listen to you and Super Kev every single day on the Highbury squad. And I'm like, Tony's like, she said out loud, she goes, are you shitting me? Really? Like in a remote airport and this is happening right now? She's
Fantastic.
like, there's no way to get away from the Highbury squad.
We're everywhere, squaddies. We're everywhere. Love that.
I swear. And literally, I go back up to him and I go to get my license, and he handed it to me and he said, now here's to 3 points against Leicester this weekend. Tony's like, oh my God, I thought this was going to be our getaway.
Oh, geez. You can't get away from the squaddies, so.
No, you can't, Kev. Absolutely just gold stuff. Yeah, brilliant.
It,
honestly, it was a great way to start the trip. And it was just really funny. And I just loved it when he was, I listen to you and Super Kev every day. I'm like,
brilliant.
Oh man, that's so good. Squaddies are everywhere. It was so cool.
Very true. Squaddies, we're everywhere, guys. Everywhere we go.
So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he's our lucky charm, Kev, for the weekend.
Well, we certainly hope so, Sophie. Look, we got 13 games left, 13 big ones.
Yep.
And we really need these 3 points, don't we? Again, it's another one. We need them more than Leicester.
Yeah, because Leicester are like, yeah, they're in a nothing season now, aren't they? Their towels are already out on the beach.
Well, they're in the conference league tonight, aren't they?
Oh, that thing. Yeah. The one we don't want to be in next season.
Yeah, we don't want to be in that. And there's the other thing, Sophie. Obviously, now that they play tonight,
they'll be a bit tired.
The recovery, they're traveling. They're going to be traveling. This is all the stuff. We're rested up. This is where we got to brock the neck.
Let's do it.
Literally, we got to catch them and sort them right out.
Right out. Of course, Newman goes to the strip search comment, Kev. It's amazing. AFC Max, I want you to know, so if your show's popular with the large circle of people in Australian Gooners, yes, we love our Australian Gooners. Anytime you want me and Super Kev to come down there, you listen, our dream here is to do a Highbury Squad World Tour. That would be the most amazing. We'll take the show on the road, just like the Rolling Stones. You know what I'm saying?
Won't be in stadiums. It'll be on the beaches, hopefully.
On the beaches. And some bloke is sitting in JFK on his way to San Diego.
Well,
they're
fantastic.
everywhere. We're everywhere.
Fantastic.
Beautiful stuff. Right. So, Kev, I thought I would start off real quick. You know how I like to do this when we're playing. This was our squad when we faced Leicester. And Emile Smith-Rowe was the star of the show that day. I think we all admit. The squad was Nuno, Gabriel, Ben White, Tomiyasu, ESR, Sambi in the middle.
That's right.
With Partey, Saka, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. On the bench was, of course, Leno, Odegaard, Maitland-Niles, Holding, Cedric, Pepe, El Neni, Kolasinac, and Martinelli. That day we won 2-1. The stats, Kev, they had 16 shots, we had 9. They had 8 on target, we had 5. 65% possession they had. We had 35%. This is what sometimes when Mourinho said, he goes, in that game, I can't remember which, was it a Champions League game? Or no, the City derby, City Man United, where he said they had the ball the whole time. We got the 3 points.
We got the 3 points. We got the goals.
Absolutely.
So again, that's where stats can lie.
Yes. They had 621 passes. We had 342. 87% accuracy for them, 76 for us. 8 fouls, 11 for us, 2 yellows to them, 0 cards for the Arsenal that day, 7 corners to Leicester, 6 to us. Kev, the last time they beat us at home was in October 2020. We've won the last 2. February 2021, we beat them 3-1 at the King Power. Of course, that was a beautiful game. And then, of course, we beat them again in October 2-0, where Ramsdale had, let's be honest, the game of his life and introduced himself to the Arsenal nation. Ramsdale versus Leicester. Well done, public.
As a top keeper. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
that was the day. Yeah, that was the
that
day
was a great game.
everybody realised he's a top keeper.
Absolutely. So I have, the roles are reversed today a little bit, Super Kev. I have a video for you from Josh, because Josh is not at the zoo tonight, guys. Guess where Josh is? He's gone to the darts. And he said, Soph, by the time I get home at 8 o'clock, I might be a few pints in. So I'm going to send you a video. So here we go. This is Josh's questions to Kev this time, and he's making one change to the squad. Let's see if you all agree with it. Here we go.
Evening squaddies, evening Soph, and evening Super Kev. Soph, I hope you're having fun on your fishing adventure. And Super Kev, it's been a while since we've had a good clash in person, so I'm sure we can make up for it next week. But got a couple of questions for you based on the tactical squad part of today's show. What I want to know is, I think if the squaddies know me well, they know what change I'd be making to this team. Question to you, Kev, is would you be doing the same in terms of Kieran Tierney's performances recently? I'd be looking at Cedric's compatriot on the bench, Nuno Tavares. I thought perhaps that his performance, or at least Tierney's performance against Watford, if that was Tavares, probably wouldn't have made it to half-time without being hooked. Would you look at starting Tavares against Leicester? And of course, we know it's an opponent who can be tricky on their day. We saw them beat them 2-0 earlier in the season. It's the game with that save as well. And do you expect us to have any issues, or how would we combat the Leicester midfield? I think we've all been fawning over Tielemans in the last few months and weeks. And who else sits in their midfield? Dewsbury Hall, as well as another player who looks very interesting in terms of what he can bring in terms of legs into that midfield. So do you think we'll change our style to adapt to Leicester? And do you think there's a space for Tavares in the team?
Oh, all right, Josh. He's got hey, first it was Partey. I've noticed he didn't mention Partey, so
He did not.
He wouldn't dare now, would he? He wouldn't dare.
No.
But he seems to have this thing about Tierney. He's got
a bee in his bonnet about Tierney.
About Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
Our vice captain, so he's got a bee in his bonnet. Listen, I just think last week against Watford, they were better down their right-hand side in the first half. We were better down our right-hand side in the first half. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way it worked out. I don't see Kieran Tierney being changed, not at all. Yeah, we did concede 2 goals, and obviously the first goal that they scored came down the right-hand side, but the cross came back and it was an incredible finish. So you can't really blame many people for that. You could say, right, you got to go out and stop the cross. But apart from that, Soph, they didn't open us up down that right-hand side in the second half. So we kind of nullified that side. So I think Kieran Tierney starts this game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, their midfield, Tielemans, Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall. You could take your pick who's going to play in there. I'm not sure whether Ndidi's fit or whatever. Good midfield, Soph.
They do have a good midfield.
Dewsbury Hall looks an interesting player. Young player, was out on loan. I think it was at Luton last year.
Correct.
He's come in and done pretty well. Left footer, bit of a schemer, could get about the pitch really well. So I like them. But I just think, Soph, the way we're playing, we haven't got to change for anybody. They've got to worry about us. You know, they've got to worry about us. The fact of the matter that Xhaka isn't just sitting beside Thomas Partey now, he's moving a bit further forward, is going to create them extra problems. Plus, Sophie, we're at home.
We're at home.
We're at home. We're the ones who has to take the game to them. So we want them to be worrying about the Arsenal, not Arsenal really worrying too much about them. We know what they bring. We know they can be a tricky side. And if you remember in the first game where we played them, we were 2-0 up cruising. They brought on two wingers. They brought an extra striker.
Yep.
Because they're at home and they have to go for it.
Yep.
So
they had Barnes come on, they had Daka come on, they had Lookman come on. Yeah.
So they put all the offensive players on that they could, Sophie, because they knew at 2-0 they have to try and get themselves back into the game. They know that. So we defended pretty well. We didn't play as fluid as we did first half, but you can understand that when they've got more weapons on the pitch. But hey, Sophie, this is a game we need to win. And I don't want to put too much onus on the opposition. I want to put the onus on Arsenal and how we play and how we go and attack them. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, they've not had a good season at all. We're by far the better team right now. I think, what are they in 12th or 13th?
12th.
Yep, Leicester.
Spot, yeah.
Like you said as well, they're playing a European fixture tonight. I think Leicester are that type of team that maybe overachieved, and now everyone expects them to just perform miracles every single time.
Every season, and it doesn't happen like that.
And it just doesn't happen like that. I mean, people calling for Rodgers' head, I don't get. He won you the FA Cup last season, and with that same token, Arteta won the FA Cup. And, this is where you kind of sit back and you think, okay, the FA Cup love coupons do run out pretty quickly with a lot of fans. I was one of those fans, especially. But with Brendan Rodgers and Leicester, I think Arsenal's expectations have to be high because of our history, right? Where we've come from, who we are. Leicester City are this kind of romantic club that are a small club doing big things, which has been incredible. And the ownership has allowed for that to happen. Zidane is in chat tonight. Welcome. Good job you joined us, Zidane. He's giving it all the large about winning and we're going to win the Champions League. I love it. Just brilliant banter. But he stands by Brendan Rodgers. I put that up. He's a Leicester fan that stands by Rodgers. And on any given day, Kev, we kind of school Leicester at the King Power, but it's been a bit dodgy for us at the Emirates too, hasn't it? What do you think? I know, like, in terms of Nuno, you're like no on that front, as good as he's been. And
I like Nuno
that we've signed. We love Nuno.
Yeah.
But for this team, this Arsenal team, to repeat what we did to them in October, is the midfield battle going to be the key in this one, Kev?
Yeah, I think it is. I think when you play Leicester, if you can get a grip of that midfield and dominate the midfield, you stand a good chance of beating them. I mean, I watched them, watched the early game last week against Leeds, and Leeds got a grip of that midfield. But the problem with Leeds was they couldn't finish, Sophie. If Leeds had a finisher on the pitch, Leeds would have probably won that game. Obviously, in the end, Leicester got a grip and ended up winning the game. But Leeds were worthy of getting definitely something out of the game and maybe should have beaten them. So remember, that's Leicester at home.
Yeah.
On the road, we know they can produce certain things out of the blue. But where we are and our mindset, Sophie, we've got to want it more than them. And that has to reflect in our attitude, in our aggression. You remember I asked on Kev says, was it last week, about the aggression? We've got to be aggressive about how we approach these games. We want to win it more than them. So, again, I think we'll keep the same team. Good to hear that Smith Rowe's back in training. Training. I think he was in solo training at the moment.
Yep.
But he will be fit for the weekend. Tomiyasu, I don't think he'll be fit just as yet. So we roll with the same 11. I mean, that 11, although the defense were a little bit loose, going forward, Sophie, we were incredible at times. We really put some patterns together and really expose Watford. And if we play like that, we'll beat Leicester.
200 of you in live chat. Thanks for joining us despite all of the football that's going on this evening as well. If you're listening on replay, hello. We hope you, your family, everyone is safe, healthy and happy in these times. Kev, you know, you talk about Emile Smith-Rowe. I agree with you. We're on the same page about if it's not broke, don't try and fix it, right? I get what Josh is saying about Tierney, but it's not like we've been losing the games. We've been winning the games and we've been performing. And I did want to talk to you about that attack a little bit, because it's always felt like for years our attack has carried us. And the problem was, you know, Koscielny was injured a lot. Vermaelen was injured a lot. Then you had Sokratis, Mustafi and Kolasinac and Bellerin, a bit of a disaster at the back. And now it feels like, you know, at the beginning of the season, that's what Arteta addressed, and he fixed it quite well. And it became like the nucleus and the backbone to our perseverance in games, our dominance in games. But now our front line seems to be the one carrying the team over these last two games where the back has been vulnerable. There's no Vardy for Leicester in this match, although who knows if he'll make a miracle recovery, we don't know. But there's still threats. They have threats everywhere. And they have threats that Tielemans can score a goal on a whim. Harvey Barnes the same. James Maddison the same. These players are game.
Daka
is. So you know, talk me through that a little bit, Kev. Like, yeah, our front line has been good now, but our back has seemed a bit vulnerable.
Yeah, I think a lot, as we just discussed, is relied upon in the midfield. Because if Leicester are going to utilize their weapons, you've mentioned the names, they need to be getting good ball to those players from the midfield. If we nullify that and then they become the chasers, Leicester ain't great at chasing it. They're not great at chasing that ball. They're good with the ball, but chasing the ball, that's why they rely so much on maybe an Ndidi to put his foot in, win the ball back, and then give it to the Tielemans and Dewsbury Halls of this world who can really play, who could set the ball, and Harvey Barnes and that do the business. Daka is a decent striker. Obviously, we know Vardy's caused us a whole heap of trouble. We don't know whether he's going to be fit or not. But that's why the supremacy of that midfield is so important. So this is what we need to do for Martinelli. We need to do that to feed Ødegaard. We need to do that to feed Lacazette. And we definitely need to do that to feed the boy wonder on the right-hand side, Saka. So getting supremacy of that midfield is the key. Partey and Xhaka, for us right now, they really have to turn up, especially at the Emirates against the best teams. We play against the best teams, they have to have their best games. They have their best games, we've got a massive chance to gain these 3 points, so, and push that gap, because we know United are playing Spurs this weekend. That might hopefully create a little gap between us, you know, and that little gap might just prove to be enough come the end of the season. So we have to use what we've got. And
maybe a draw would suit us best, of course, in that match. We don't want either one of those teams picking up 3 points for sure.
5-5, 5-5, finish off 8v8.
Oh, I love it. 8v8. Yeah, get some red cards in there. Why does Sophie feel the need to pronounce Sokratis like a non-British person? Listen to you. I'm Greek.
Because she's not British.
I'm Greek. I'm a Londoner. I'm a Greek Londoner. I was born in London to Greek parents. So I'm going to pronounce his name the way it's supposed to be. Sokratis Papastadopoulos. There you go, DS.
There you go. Have some of that.
Smoke it. All right. So, Kev, how do you see this one rolling out? Emile Smith-Rowe is coming up a lot in the chat. The super sub. Let's be honest. We've got to protect him. He's been sick, you know, and back in training. We're going to stick with that same team, you and I think. We've got Tierney, Gabriel, White, Cedric, Ramsdale, Partey, Xhaka, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Lacazette, Saka. Not going to change that. Why would you do that at this point? there's going to be opportunities for Emile Smith-Rowe. I think Pepe in this game, even maybe Nuno, you know, depending on how the game goes, of course. What's that? I want to know as well about the Tomiyasu thing. There's no need to rush. If he's
no rush.
There's no rush, right? Yeah.
Here's the issue, because I think, you know, do you remember when we rushed him back the last time?
Yes, against Liverpool.
Against Liverpool, you could see he weren't right. You could see he weren't right. And it wasn't the Tomiyasu that we know. He looked a bit leggy. He looked like he was carrying something. And normally he's tight, he's at it, but he wasn't, Sophie. So look, at the end of the day, we don't need to rush this guy. When he's fully fit, and then obviously he just needs games to get himself going. Then obviously when the right time comes, he can bring him in. But Cedric hasn't let anybody down of late. I'm not saying he is Tomiyasu, because he's not. But you know what? He's capable of doing a job, and that's what he's done. That's what we need. We need people who come in to do a job, and he's done a job. So yeah. I'm not gonna lambast Cedric right now. Cedric has done a good job. Would I prefer Tomiyasu there? Of course I would, so. But I only want Tomiyasu if he's fully fit.
Yeah, exactly. And let's hope for similar scenes this weekend, you guys. Obviously, the wonder save. Emile Smith-Rowe was just phenomenal in that match. I should have photoshopped that on the right there, Kev, but yes. It doesn't matter, because Aubameyang played his part. You know, every player plays his part, no matter the you know, if they're no longer with us. He was still part of that game. Tommy, of course, played in that game and played very, very well. You know, the togetherness. I love that all yellow kit, by the way. I think that's pretty sexy. And stop overreacting about the red shorts, everybody, for crying out loud. Please stop the madness. All right, so Kev, let's talk about predictions. I don't want to say anything about something, but I have to say it because there were a lot of people that called you deluded, Kev. We were sent a barrage of DMs and emails. Kev's just saying we're going to win. Next week we're going to pick our next 5 games.
Yes. I'm
just saying that I had a couple draws in there, but you went for 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, 3 points.
And this is the last one of those.
This is the last one of those. So
yes. So we're going to review it next week and then pick the next 5. I get that. But you know what, Sophie? Just like many people call me deluded or whatever. And if you remember, they call me deluded, they call me crazy. But if you remember, what I did say was, if we are going to push for that top 4 spot, we need to win the next 5. We need maximum points. If you remember, I said I will take, what's it? I said I will take 11 or something like that. I will take 11 points, but we need 15. And boy, the team are already on 12 today. We've got a winnable game on Sunday. Do you know what? When you win games, Sophie, it adds to the belief in the dressing room. When you go into the training ground, so you go in, you get there early. You know what I mean? You go in,
your pass on. Are you walking up with your like Fonzie collars up and everything?
You're walking taller. You're walking with a bit of bounce. And when you get on the training pitch, Sophie, all the work that you're doing comes out in the games. So when you win, it is like rubber stamping. You are doing great work. Constantly, you're doing great work. Hey, well done, guys. You're doing great work. Because that's what it's about. It's about winning. Like I've said it many times, winning cures everything. It does. If we win out to the end of the season, who knows where we'd finish, right, Sophie?
Yeah, no.
Who knows where we'd finish? But winning makes us, as fans as well, we start to feel better about ourselves, don't we? You know, it does. It changes the mindset of everything. So with a bit of luck, Sophie, we can keep this going. There's no complacency. There's just that mindset and that aggression to win. And I think we will win on Sunday. I think we will win pretty comfortably. I think we will beat Leicester 3-1.
Nice, very nice. There's a few people in chat talking about the revenge game, Kev. I mean, of course you lose to a team. You know, we paid back Wolves double. They did the double on us last season. We paid Brentford back for earlier this season. Leicester are going to be looking to come at us, a team with a lot of pride, of course. But before we duck out, I wanted who's without Vardy, and it's not like not having Vardy's hurt them this season. Let's be honest. They've had Fofana. I mean, they've had a lot. They've had injuries. They've had to deal with similar injuries like Liverpool last season. You see how it affects a team, the nucleus and the spine of a team. Key injuries. It's not like there are any injuries, right?
Yeah.
But they still do have those game changers. If you were going to pick one player that you feared the most, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say because you could have kind of fancied him at the Arsenal, but maybe it's different in this season, in this time, and in this game. One player that you fear the most from Leicester.
Well, look, if Vardy, I've got to say Vardy, just because of the history as well. So you know, and we did try and look to sign him under Wenger, and it didn't quite work out. But look, if I'm honest with you, I think their best player is Tielemans. I really do. I know Harvey Barnes could turn it on. I know Lookman could turn it on. Paxton Daka, I like the look of him. He looks sharp. But for me, if Tielemans plays well, they tend to play well. Maddison is a very good player, but I don't fear Maddison.
Is because he can be inconsistent. I mean, Sidant, who's in the chat, and he's a Leicester fan, you know, he's definitely confirming that Vardy's out, but he picked Madders.
Yeah, but look, Sophie, he picks James Maddison. I've watched Leicester for a long time, and I look at Tielemans and I see the work he does, and I see how he makes them tick, and I just think he's a superb player. You know, sometimes because he's not scoring goals from 25 yards or he's not playing people in all the time, I think people tend to go to sleep on him. But the stuff he does and the timing of his pass, a bit like Thomas Partey, you know, when he does things that look simple, but actually they're a lot more difficult than you think.
Yeah.
I see that in his game. I see him where he picks the ball up, the way he releases the ball so people have time on their side. So little things like that. Maybe it's just me being an ex-pro.
He's definitely got a better shot than Thomas Partey at the moment.
Oh,
there's no
exactly,
doubt about that.
Exactly. And don't forget, Soph, you remember when we beat down there back end of last season, he got the first goal, didn't he, Tielemans?
Yeah.
By running onto a ball and getting into our box. So he's one of those guys. I'm not saying that all the others aren't threats. They are. But I just think if Leicester are to get anything, Tielemans has to play well.
Yeah. A few people in chat saying that he's not the same this season, that he's been phoning it in a lot, but also a lot of these kind of comments too about him being class. And
this might be an audition, Soph.
So someone else said that. Someone just said there's 3 Leicester players who are auditioning for the Arsenal. It just came up a few minutes ago. Hey, listen, I think there's going to be a few Leicester players. I think Maddison and Tielemans definitely might be looking to move on next season. We don't know that. We'll see. Okay, so you're going 3-1, Kev. I'm going to go for a 3-2 to the Arsenal. I have a feeling there'll be a lot of goals in the game. I would love to say we're going to get a clean sheet, but not sure about that. I fancy Laka to grab a goal. And the boy wonder, of course, and another one maybe from Odegaard. However they come, we don't care.
We take it. We take it.
Yeah. A few housekeeping items before we go. Liz, I saw you posted something about your mum and you may have to go home to Australia. We hope everything's okay, and sending lots of love to you, Liz.
Yeah, lots of love to you and your mum, definitely.
And James's mum came home from hospital today, you guys. So James Johnston, brilliant stuff. Good news.
Like, give
James's
Mama Hagen a kiss and tell her the Highbury squad and squaddies love her.
Definitely.
We love her.
So definitely. Well, when I put my hands up, they look like super white, but they're not.
Hey, they got a glow to them, so put them up. They got a glow to them. Look.
You can see me now.
Yeah, got a glow.
Kev, before we go, I have to ask you this because it's kind of a crazy time, and it's one of the biggest stories in football right now. In a nutshell, what are your thoughts on the Chelsea situation and what is happening over there? My goodness, that's some serious stuff that's happening.
Yeah, look, Soph, I think when Roman Abramovich made that statement, was it last week? In that statement, he said, well, if the club is sold, I don't want no part of it. It can go into the foundation to help people in the Ukraine. I think he said that and people just thought, oh, that's a good gesture, which it was. But I believe he's obviously lawyers and stuff like that knew what was coming down the pipeline, Soph. They knew what was coming down the pipeline. He hasn't been sanctioned fully. And now, obviously, his assets has to get scrutinized. And Chelsea are one of them. So, you know, there are certain restrictions that Chelsea have got. Doesn't stop them playing. It doesn't stop them from getting season ticket holders into the ground. Club shop obviously can't sell directly from the club. They could, I think they're Nike, aren't they? They could, Nike can, people can buy Chelsea stuff from Nike, but not from Chelsea. So it will cause certain issues. Obviously, they can't sign anyone, except can't negotiate new contracts. So it is going to cause a bit of a problem for Chelsea. But I don't think it's going to cause that much of a problem on the playing side right now. Maybe in the summer you might see something a little bit different. But right now, you know, there are restrictions which are going to hinder the club. But on the playing side, it's not going to stop them doing what they've got to do.
Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen. I mean...
Well, it's the end of an era, isn't it? So it's the end of an era. Massive era for their club.
Tuchel's had to deal with stuff he shouldn't have to deal with as a manager, and you know, he's become like a spokesperson, having to take questions about politics and all sorts of stuff. Totally unfair on him. I don't care what anyone says. Forget, you know, I'm not talking on not defending Chelsea or Abramovich, but the fact that the players and the staff, forget about, like, the players will be fine. They'll be just fine. They've got plenty of money, but staff and people and how this is going to affect people's lives. And we saw this go when we went through COVID, Kev, and, you know, everyday people just fighting to make a buck and pay the bills and keep the lights on and put food on the table and all that type of stuff. I mean, this is a crazy time that we're living in. And a lot of people have zero sympathy. And naturally, because they changed the way that football did business, they kind of monopolized the transfer market for a long time. Some of their fans have behaved so poorly when traveling, treating people terribly. And, you know, it's really tricky, because then you say to yourself, where does it end? Where does it stop? Who else are we going to look? You know, corruption exists in a lot of places, Kev, and maybe this is the reset button. You know, maybe this is a time for review and maybe vetting people who come into the Premier League as owners in a much more robust way. And by the way, Arsenal fans, how thankful are you right now that Kroenke owns the team and not Usmanov?
Well, you know what, Soph? On the same road that you took to success, that same road could lead you to ruin.
Yeah,
and so Chelsea took that road, that high road, with a billionaire owner who came in, and he just changed the landscape. Let's be honest. He brought Mourinho in, and they just changed the landscape with what they were doing. And it really made that club a success upon success. You know, they brought up the best talent that was around. It from the youth to the first team, brought up great talent and became really successful. And, you know, look, there ain't just one way of doing it, Sophie. Arsenal's way hasn't been that way, but we've been successful in our way. They've been successful, obviously buying it. Man City have done kind of the same thing. But on that same road, you can hit the buffers. That successful road at the top there, nobody stays at the top forever, Soph. And obviously these sanctions and what's happened now is what's going to bring the club down, because who knows how long these sanctions are going to go on for, Soph? Who knows?
Exactly.
You know, so you think if you can't negotiate new contracts with players, what's going to happen? There's going to be players at Chelsea who have got 1 year left after this. Who says the sanctions are going to stop in the summer?
Yep.
If you can't negotiate, then they're going to get to January or whatever. And then, they're going to have to be sorting themselves out with new clubs. So it's a snowball effect that could really hurt Chelsea. And as you say, many people have no sympathy for them because they took that high road that many people couldn't go on. So,
yeah,
it is
and
what it is.
And I agree with Mike as well. They made it a success, but they built it on a house of cards. Without Roman, they're done. I mean, this situation, they could, walk away. He could walk away with nothing, and no one will ever have sympathy for any of that. And I'm not delusional, Dejan. I'm talking real stuff here, because if you want to dig deeper, you guys know how I felt, and if you want, you can go back and listen to the show about Newcastle's ownership. Where does it end? What do we do? Here's your comment. This is a serious situation, and this show is not built on talking about politics. We're talking about a football club that has been super successful because of an owner who has put his own money into it. And let's be honest, a lot of Arsenal fans and other fans wanted an owner to put their hands in their pockets and do similar things. And this is just another warning about being very careful about where that money comes from, how it's utilized, and how it's all built. That's all. And this is a major, major turning point in football, and a lot of different things. And I had to ask Kev the question about that as well. Right, that's it. That's all we've got time for today. 300 of you in live chat, but how many of you have hit the like button? Hey?
Minimum 150. Minimum 150. Sophie's doing it. Look at her hands. They're lighting up.
Hey, look, my hands are lighting up. I've got the fireplace. I'm not at Danny's house, by the way. I'm not at the GF. I'm not at Danny's house. You may think there's no cats walking past here. It just so happens I have a beautiful fireplace right here in the background. It's wonderful just being out in the wilderness, Kev. And look, our stream made it the whole time.
I know, Sophie. And if anybody wants to carry on the chat with Leicester, chatting with Campbell on Lee Judges TV.
Oh, lovely.
There's myself, Lee Judges, and we've got a Leicester fan on. That's at 9:15.
It's not Sedan,
Lee Judges TV. No, he's going to be too busy watching the game.
Also, Kev, just because I miss him so much, Vinny and Vespa are not here with us.
Oh, well, I tell you what, everyone, do a Vinny and do a Vespa. Hit that like button for us, whether you're in or you do it on the way out. Just hit the like button for us. We need at least 150, guys. Come on.
Yeah, totally. And apparently we got a photograph and a video from our dog sitter and stuff. Amazing. Vespa is digging holes in the backyard to the point where we may have a golf course by the time that we get home. Not that our house is big enough for a golf course.
Is it 9 holes? Is it 9 or 18?
9. It's a 9-holer, Kev.
All right. Okay. Only 9 holes. Love it.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Okay. Listen, you guys are epic. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your lovely comments for the International Women's Day show and the Arsenal Vision podcast show as well. Got some fantastic notes from you guys that you enjoyed that. Brilliant. Tomorrow we have Kev Says. It's a twist though. It's Kev Says with a twist, because I'm in the middle of nowhere, Kev. Woo! And I'll be fishing for something.
Yeah, I like it.
We will, it's a pre-record. I will post it up and you guys will make your comments and your responses to Kev's questions on the YouTube channel tomorrow. Okay. So that will be interesting. It's a one-time only. We love doing that show live, of course, and interacting with you. But with all the travel this week, we're still trying to bring you content and shows, but just in a different way. So thanks so much for hanging in there and being with us. And hey, listen, we're still here. We're still smashing it. We're still doing our thing. Kev, over to you.
Squaddies, listen, go and watch the football. Go and chill out. Do whatever you're doing. And tell the loved ones you love them. Never forget that. We love you. Love you, Soph. Have a lovely time in the wilderness and catch plenty of fish. And squaddies, at ease, everybody. Come and join me on Lee Judges TV.
Do it.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is HIGHBURY SQUAD.